What kind of person screams at a teenager over a missing taco? Karen's voice boomed through the Taco Bell, a shrill weapon slicing through the hum of the late-night crowd. Her face, flushed with indignation, loomed over the counter, her heavy frame leaning forward as if to physically dominate the trembling cashier. Mia, a 17-year-old with wide eyes and a name tag slightly askew. Karen's purse slammed onto the counter, spilling coins and receipts, her manicured nails jabbing the air. You think you can cheat me? I ordered 3 tacos, not 2. Do your job. Mia froze, her hands fumbling with the register, her cheeks burning under the weight of Karen's tirade. The line behind Karen shifted uncomfortably, a few customers exchanging glances, but no one dared speak. The air crackled with tension, the kind that makes your stomach twist, as if the whole room was holding its breath, waiting for the next explosion. Mia's voice trembled as she stammered an apology, her fingers shaking as she punched in a refund. Karen wasn't having it. Don't play dumb with me, sweetheart. I know you're type lazy, incompetent, thinking you can rip off honest people. The word honest hung in the air like a bad joke. Mia's eyes darted to her manager, Luis, who was wiping his hands on his apron as he hurried from the back. Luis, a wiry man in his 30s with a calm demeanor, stepped between Mia and the counter, his voice steady but firm. Ma'am, let's sort this out. Can you show me your receipt? Karen scoffed, tossing her head back, her blonde curls bouncing. Receipt? I don't need a receipt to know you're stealing from me. I want my taco, and I want it now. The restaurant fell silent, save for the faint sizzle of meat on the grill. Luis's jaw tightened, but he kept his cool, offering to remake the order for free. Karen's eyes narrowed, sensing weakness. Free? You think I'm some charity case? I want a full refund and my food, or I'm calling corporate. The threat landed like a punch, and Mia, still behind the register, looked like she might cry. That's when Javier, a cook in his early 20s, leaned out from the kitchen, his phone subtly angled to record the scene. Karen didn't notice, too consumed by her own fury, but the tiny red light on Javier's phone blinked steadily, capturing every venomous word. Karen's rage escalated, her voice hitting a pitch that made the plastic soda lids on the counter vibrate. She pointed at Mia, accusing her of everything from theft to disrespecting paying customers. The truth, though, was simpler than Karen's theatrics suggested. The missing taco was a simple mix-up in a rushed order during the dinner rush. Mia had scanned the order correctly, but a new employee, training in the back, had misread the ticket. It was a human error, the kind that happens when you're juggling 10 orders at once. But Karen didn't care about truth. She cared about power. She thrived on the chaos, on making Mia squirm, on bending the room to her will. Then came the twist, sharp and unexpected, like a knife slipping into soft flesh. A woman in line, Sarah, a quiet regular who worked as a paralegal, cleared her throat. She'd been watching silently, her arms crossed, her dark hair pulled into a neat bun. Ma'am, Sarah said, her voice cutting through Karen's rant like a blade. I saw your order on the screen when you placed it. You ordered 2 tacos, not 3. The room froze. Karen's head whipped around, her eyes blazing with disbelief. Excuse me. Are you calling me a liar? Sarah didn't flinch. She pulled out her phone, where she'd snapped a quick photo of the order screen earlier. A habit from her meticulous job. The image was clear. Karen's order. Time-stamped. Showing 2 tacos. Karen's face drained of color. But only for a moment. She doubled down, her voice rising to a screech. That's fake. You're all in on it. The accusation was absurd, but it shifted the momentum. Customers murmured, some pulling out their phones to record, others whispering to each other. Luis, sensing the tide turning, stepped forward again. Ma'am, we're happy to make you another taco, but you need to lower your voice. Karen's response was a sneer, her finger now pointed at Luis. Don't tell me what to do. I'll have your job for this. But Javier's phone was still rolling, and Sarah's photo was now circulating among the staff, passed from Mia's trembling hands to Luis's steady ones. The truth was out, and Karen's lies were unraveling faster than she could scream. The confrontation reached its peak as Karen, refusing to back down, demanded to speak to someone with actual authority. Luis, his patience wearing thin, explained that he was the manager, but Karen wasn't listening. She leaned over the counter, her voice a venomous hiss. You're nothing but a glorified fry cook. I'll make sure this place shuts down. Mia, still shaken, slipped into the back, tears streaming down her face. Javier followed, his phone still recording, whispering to her that they had proof that could change everything. Sarah, meanwhile, stood her ground, her calm demeanor a stark contrast to Karen's chaos. The other customers, emboldened by Sarah's stand, began to speak up, their voices a chorus of disapproval. Lady, you're out of line. One man said. Just take the taco and go. Muttered another. Karen's world was shrinking, her bluster no longer commanding the room. She didn't know it yet, but the evidence against her was mounting. Javier's video, Sarah's photo, and the growing discontent of the crowd were a storm brewing just out of her sight. She was a woman used to getting her way, to bullying her way through life. But this time, she'd picked the wrong fight. The Taco Bell staff, led by Luis's quiet resolve, weren't just defending their dignity, they were building a case. And Karen, oblivious to the trap closing around her, kept screaming, each word digging her deeper into a hole she couldn't climb out of. The air in the Taco Bell grew thicker, the tension palpable as Karen's tirade continued unabated. Her voice, sharp and grating, ricocheted off the tiled walls, accusing the staff of incompetence, conspiracy, even theft. You're all crooks, she bellowed, her hands planted on her hips, her purse now a forgotten heap on the counter. Luis, the manager, stood firm, his face a mask of professionalism, though his eyes betrayed a flicker of exhaustion. He repeated his offer, a free taco, a refund, whatever would de-escalate the situation. But Karen wasn't interested in solutions. She wanted dominance, and she wasn't leaving until she got it. Behind the counter, Mia had returned, her eyes red but her resolve hardened. Javier, still clutching his phone, had sent the video to Luis's work email, a silent insurance policy. Sarah, the paralegal, stood quietly in line, her phone now tucked away, but her presence was a steady anchor in the storm. The other customers, a mix of tired workers and late-night stragglers, were growing restless. A man in a construction vest muttered under his breath. This lady's unhinged. A young woman in scrubs rolled her eyes, checking her watch. The room was turning against Karen, but she was too consumed by her own narrative to notice. Then came the twist that cut deeper than Sarah's earlier revelation. Javier, stepping out from the kitchen, held up his phone, his voice calm but laced with defiance. Ma'am, I've got you on video. Everything you've said, every threat, every insult, it's all here. Karen's eyes widened, her mouth opening to protest. But Javier wasn't done. And I checked the security footage. It shows you ordering 2 tacos. Just like the lady said. The lie about the security footage was a bluff. Javier hadn't checked anything, but it landed like a sledgehammer. Karen's confidence faltered, her hands dropping to her sides. For the first time, she seemed to realize the room wasn't hers to command. You can't record me without my consent. Karen snapped, but her voice lacked its earlier venom. Javier smirked, his tone cool. Public place. Ma'am. No expectation of privacy. Sarah nodded, her paralegal instincts kicking in. He's right. And I'm happy to testify if this goes further. The word testify hung in the air, heavy with implication. Karen's face twisted, a mix of fury and fear, as she realized she was no longer the hunter but the hunted. The crowd's murmurs grew louder, a few people clapping softly in support of the staff. Luis seized the moment, his voice cutting through the noise. Ma'am, you have 2 choices. Accept the refund and leave, or I'm calling the police for disturbing the peace. The threat was real, and Karen knew it. Her eyes darted around the room, searching for an ally, but found none. The customers, once silent, were now openly hostile, their phones out, some filming, others tweeting. The hashtag Taco Bell Karen was already trending locally, though Karen wouldn't know it until later. Her world, built on bluster and entitlement, was crumbling under the weight of her own actions. But Karen wasn't one to go quietly. She leaned forward, her voice dropping to a menacing hiss. You'll regret this. All of you. She pointed at Luis, then Mia, then Javier, her finger trembling with rage. I know people. I'll have this place shut down. Luis didn't flinch. He pulled out his phone, dialed a number, and spoke clearly. Yes, police. We have a disruptive customer refusing to leave. The call wasn't a bluff. Karen's bravado cracked, her eyes widening as the reality of consequences loomed. She grabbed her purse, spilling more coins in her haste, and stormed toward the door, but not before one final jab. You're all pathetic. You'll hear from my lawyer. The door slammed behind her, the bell above it jingling mockingly. The restaurant exhaled, the tension breaking like a wave. Mia sank against the counter, her hands shaking, but a small smile crept onto her face as Javier gave her a reassuring nod. Sarah approached the counter, sliding a business card to Luis. If you need a witness, call me. I've dealt with people like her before. Luis nodded, gratitude in his eyes. The other customers, now relaxed, placed their orders, some offering words of support to the staff. You handled that like champs, the construction worker said, tossing an extra $1 into the tip jar. Outside, Karen sat in her SUV, her hands gripping the steering wheel, her face a mask of humiliated fury. She didn't know it yet, but Javier's video had already been uploaded to a local X account, racking up thousands of views. The comments were brutal, calling her out for her entitlement, her lies, her cruelty. The internet, merciless and swift, was turning her into a cautionary tale. Back inside, Luis gathered his team, praising their composure. "We don't let people like that win," he said, his voice steady. Mia, still shaken, nodded, her confidence slowly returning. The night wasn't over, but the worst was, or so they thought. The fallout came faster than anyone expected. By morning, Javier's video had gone viral, shared across X, TikTok, and local news outlets. The hashtag Taco Bell Karen trended nationally, with Karen's face contorted, and undeniably hers plastered across social media. The internet didn't just mock her, it dissected her. Users dug into her public profiles, uncovering a history of complaints, berating a barista over a too-cold latte, demanding a refund at a grocery store for bruised apples, even threatening a dog groomer over a bad haircut. Karen wasn't just a one-time offender. She was a serial bully, and the world was done with her. Back at the Taco Bell, the staff became local heroes. Customers flooded in, not just for tacos but to support the team that stood up to Karen. The tip jar overflowed, and a GoFundMe for Mia's college fund, started by Sarah, raised thousands overnight. But the victory wasn't without cost. Mia, though bolstered by the support, still flinched at loud voices, her confidence shaken by Karen's venom. Luis spent hours with corporate, explaining the incident, ensuring his team was protected. Javier, the quiet hero, shrugged off the attention, but his video had changed everything. It wasn't just a recording, it was evidence, a weapon that turned Karen's own words against her. Karen, meanwhile, was unraveling. Her threats to sue fell apart when Sarah's photo and Javier's video were sent to Taco Bell's legal team. The company, smelling a PR win, released a statement condemning disrespectful behavior and praising their staff's professionalism. Karen's lawyer, a harried man who dealt with her before, advised her to settle quietly. She didn't. She doubled down, posting a rambling video on X, claiming she was the victim, that the staff had provoked her. The internet tore it apart, meme after meme shredding her narrative. Her employer, a small real estate firm, issued a statement distancing themselves from her behavior. By the end of the week, Karen was unemployed, her reputation in tatters. The legal consequences were swift. Karen's actions public disturbance, harassment, and threats landed her a court date. The judge, unimpressed by her crocodile tears, ordered community service and a fine. The courtroom, packed with reporters and curious locals, buzzed as Karen, once so loud, sat silent, her head bowed. The punishment wasn't just legal, it was social. Friends stopped calling. Neighbors avoided her. The internet, her judge and jury, ensured her name was synonymous with entitlement. Karen's world, built on bullying and bravado, had collapsed under the weight of her own actions. But the story didn't end with Karen's downfall. Back at the Taco Bell, something beautiful emerged from the chaos. Mia, inspired by Sarah's courage, enrolled in a paralegal course, determined to stand up for others the way Sarah had for her. Javier, emboldened by the impact of his video, started a local group to teach teens about workers' rights. Luis, promoted to district manager, implemented new training to handle difficult customers, ensuring no one felt as helpless as Mia had. The restaurant became a symbol of resilience, a place where ordinary people stood up to cruelty and won. The final twist came months later, at a community event where Mia, now more confident, spoke about her experience. She didn't mention Karen by name, but the crowd knew. Some people think they can scream their way to power, she said, her voice steady. But they're wrong. Kindness, truth, and standing together, that's what wins. The audience erupted in applause, and Sarah, in the front row, wiped away a tear. The Taco Bell staff, once just a team of workers, had become a family, bound by a shared victory over a woman who thought she could break them. Karen, meanwhile, faded into obscurity, her name a cautionary tale whispered in fast food lines. The world moved on, but the lesson lingered: entitlement has a price. And sometimes, it's paid in full view of a crowd armed with phones and truth. For Mia, Javier, Luis, and Sarah, the fight wasn't just about a taco, it was about dignity. About refusing to bow to someone who thought they were above everyone else. And in that small Taco Bell, under those harsh fluorescent lights, they proved that even the loudest voice can be silenced by the quiet strength of those who stand together.